Hey there, this is Jeff Melcher from Cycling Farm and Fitness. I'm making this new video series to, I guess, get my coached athletes on the same page, fill in some of the gaps in knowledge. And then if this goes well, I'll probably have them be YouTube videos that are shared with the general public, or at least the people that I engage with on Facebook. So we shall see. So today's coach talk, again, the idea is to keep these to about 5 minutes. So let's dive right into it. I'll share my screen here. So this first conversation ends up being about the importance of zone control and zone 2. So this is my bike example where zone 2 used to be back in 2020. Upper zone 2 is 217 watts. That was the upper limit. The upper limit in heart rate for zone 2 on the bike was 133. And again, that's something that I could do for many hours. The line between zone 2 and zone 3 is often referred to as LT1. It can also be VT1. LT1 is our first turn point if we're doing a lactate threshold test, LT1. So that's used in a lab setting. VT1 is ventilatory threshold 1. So that's usually when you go from very easy breathing to a little bit more challenged breathing. You can feel the difference. I did make a video on LT1 and how to go about testing for that. So I can link that into the notes underneath this YouTube, but it is on my YouTube channel. So let's go a little bit deeper. Why is that so important? Well, the green zone is where we want to be for about 80% of our training. It's easy aerobic, and it can even be recovery. But basically, the aerobic system is what we're after to improve. So zone 2 endurance is what we're talking about today. Why would we do a lot of that? Well, it increases the basic fitness, decreases our dependency on carbs. So it's relatively low stress and high gain. You got to do a fair amount of volume of it, but push comes to shove, even if you're just doing 5-6 hours a week, it's really good to start with an endurance zone 2 focus to build the foundation, to build the aerobic machine. A little bit more in the takeaways. Zone 1, 2 is the priority for endurance athletes. It's a low strain intensity that needs to be prioritized to maximize performance. It reduces our dependency on carbs as fuel. It increases our fat utilization. We store a lot of fat in our bodies, so that's something that we won't run out of, but we definitely can run out of carbs. Zone 2 also increases oxygen delivery and utilization to the working muscles. It consequently improves exercise economy. So it's a big deal. 80% of our training should be zone 1, zone 2. When we do LT2 or LT1 progression type exercise, we're exercising at the upper limit of zone 2 and trying to stay out of zone 3. So on my example here, and again, if you're using training peaks, your zones are going to be defined in training peaks, but the upper end of zone 2 for me on this chart is 217 on the bike. And again, this is in 2020. It's similar now, slightly different. And it's 133 for the heart rate. So I want to stay below those two, but right on that edge. And I want to do intervals of that to help progress my LT1. And I want to build my time just below that threshold to be longer over time. Doesn't mean that zone 1 or lower zone 2 doesn't contribute, but this is push come to shove, limited time. Let's get right to the upper end of zone 2 and try to push up that LT1. If we do that well, the 133 beats per minute for my heart rate, I'll produce more power over time. So maybe the first month it's 207, the second month it's 217, and then we start to slow down, but maybe it gets up to 225 after like 3-4 months of good, steady, mostly endurance training. It's a great place to be. Now I can go out and do my 70.3 racing at say 225 watts. And my heart rate's about 133. And I'm burning mostly fats. I'm saving my carbs for the run. Even if you're just a runner, it's a beautiful place to be. We train our body to burn fats, even at the higher heart rates, the higher intensities, and that can only be a good thing. We get to be faster. So think about watts as being faster. So I'm actually going faster when I'm running at that same heart rate. That shows that your efficiency has improved and your aerobic machine has improved. So I'll give you another example. Let's do a different screen here. Let's go to Training Peaks. I did a run today, jog zone 2. I did it more as a, what can I say, an LT1 preservation run. So I call these progression runs, but that's usually thought of when I'm trying to build that LT1 and push it up. I would say this time of the year, for myself at least, I'm more or less in a preservation mode. So I did that today. Again, this is Training Peaks Coaching Edition. Yours will be slightly different. My heart rate was all below 135. You can see my power in zones, a little bit of zone 2, a little bit of zone 3. That line is distinguished by 261 watts. So in between zone 2 and zone 3 is 261 watts. And same thing with pace. I was tripping a little bit into zone 3. So really good correlation of the different training zones that I try to triangulate to get a good grasp of LT1. All right, so 2 by 12 minutes, just confirming what we see here. The first one was at 260 watts for running, and the heart rate was at 125 average, 133 max. I did another repeat of that. Again, this is preservation. I'm really not trying to push my fitness this time of the year. I'm trying to get a little recovery, take a little time off so I can regroup, give the body a break to heal, and then I'll come back at improving fitness. So again, preservation-wise, another interval of 12 minutes. I did about 1 minute walk between these two. Heart rate at 129, max of 133, power at 263. I can tell you that the only way that I've seen myself improve on the run to get faster working in zone 2 at the same heart rate is to do a lot of zone 2 training and a lot of zone 2 progression. I used to run maybe at 250 watts, and that's all I could do while keeping my heart rate in zone 2. And now I can do 263 watts. The speed increase has been great. So the pace for this was 825. I used to be at 845. So that's what I've seen just by really focusing on, I guess, zone 2 discipline for 80% of my training, and then progressing that upper limit, my LT1, pushing that up over time, and therefore becoming a faster runner, and actually a faster runner at all intensities. But today we're focused on LT1, zones 1 and 2, the 80%. So I'm hoping that makes a little bit more sense. You can always reach out and ask me questions if needed. And we'll cover some more information next week that's at least interesting, relevant, and the next step. Thank you.